Our first group is formally called Where's Your Bench? They've renamed themselves to Benchmark. They're going to be represented by Adrian Chang this evening. And Benchmark proposes to help residents meet, get together, have conversations, discuss ideas, and to create spaces where people can connect in their neighborhoods. And we really look forward to seeing how we accomplish this plan. So Adrian, do you want to come out? And just a reminder, 5 minutes, and then after you present, we're going to bring your whole team out. You guys have 10 minutes to interact with the team. 5 minutes, I'll come out and stop you.
Okay.
10 minutes, I'll definitely stop you guys. All right, so let's go. Have fun.
This is my neighbor, Ella. She moved to my block last year. She spends a lot of time working and spends most of her free time interacting with screens, not people. For quite a while, Ella didn't know any of her neighbors. Last winter, when her car got snowed in, she had to dig it out with a ladle, a soup ladle, because she didn't know who to ask for help. That isn't surprising. Do you know your neighbors? Less than half of American adults know most of their neighbors. 28% don't know any of their neighbors by name. How can we not know the names of the people that live next door? And what does that mean for the health of our neighborhoods? I love our block party because it's a great opportunity to connect with neighbors. That's how I met Ella. Turns out she likes early morning runs too, but wasn't comfortable being out alone when it was still dark. A few of us decided to start a morning running group. We also told her about the community watch. It felt good to connect. The problem is, the block party is only once a year. We need to create places and opportunities to engage with our neighbors more often. Maybe this is contrary to what you would expect, but the primary way that people stay informed about community issues is through in-person encounters, not the internet. Those who know their neighbors are more likely to have face-to-face talks about community issues, as long as they have a place to talk and gather. I'm starting to figure out how to work with my neighbors on important local issues. But here's the thing, most people don't know how to do this work. Research shows that people feel they don't have the power or resources to make decisions, they don't trust others to work with them, and they feel that they lack the spaces and opportunities for this work. So what spaces are available and enabling of community interaction? How do we create opportunities to connect? You've heard of placemaking. This is a new category called benchmarking. Benchmark is a new placemaking initiative to activate public spaces for community building. The mission of Benchmark is to create the place that allows citizens to connect, identify issues and solutions, and organize and take action. We propose placing public benches, timeless, intuitive objects for gathering, in residential areas all throughout Chicago. These benches will become social and organizing places. Benchmarking will enable citizens, prompt citizens to engage and interact. With this bench on our block, neighbors have a place to connect and communicate. The bench creates organic opportunities to interact beyond the once-a-year block party. We think all blocks should have this place. The first-year goal is to place at least one bench in each of Chicago's wards. How? Benchmark is envisioned as a grassroots community engagement program. Last year, 4,800 block parties were held in the city of Chicago. The key to Benchmark's initial success is to leverage already engaged neighbors planning their block parties. The way it works is you submit an application to your alderman's office. You can also submit applications requesting additional resources, such as a jumpy house or a fire truck visit. We propose adding one more option, the offer of a free bench kit that neighbors can build together as a block party activity. After neighbors build their bench, they can visit the Benchmark website and share how they use their bench, upload photos, and provide suggestions for further community engagement. As benchmarkers share their experiences, Benchmark will expand its reach through social media and community engagement. For instance, imagine a bench warming where 50 Chicago Community Trust ambassadors deliver plates of warm cookies to 50 new benches on 50 blocks in each of Chicago's 50 wards. That would be a Twitter and Instagram sensation. Sounds good, right? We have a 30, 90, 60, 90-day plan, and here's what we need to get started. We need resources for the first 50 bench kits. We can build these for less than $50 a bench. We need pro bono consulting services to develop our website, PR, and social media plans. We need strategic partners like Home Depot. We also, and most importantly, need a partner for the project. Benchmark is envisioned as a streamlined program that can thrive within an existing infrastructure. We've identified several organizations that are already doing this type of work, and we hope that you can help us make a connection and find Benchmark a home. Join us, connecting Chicago residents, one bench at a time.
All right. Great job.
Thank you.
That was awesome. Let's bring the entire Benchmark team out. And we'll turn you guys over for your 10 minutes of sage advice. Come on up on stage, guys. You're gonna have to get closer to them. You might want to go to that blue line there. They won't bite, I promise.
They have to stand.
We're not judges.
We should give us a chair.
They're not judges, they're analysts.
These chairs are big enough.
Too big, okay.
I guess I'll start up, and I would suggest that, first of all, it's a great idea. The idea of community building, reaching across the city as you're proposing, using the web to kind of get the word out and to kind of build models for other people to emulate, those are all really strong ideas. I would suggest you reconsider going out with a single one bench per ward approach. You might want to consider concentrating benches in selected wards here and there with an eye toward geographic and other aspects of diversity. But with a little bit of concentration, I think the power of your idea may become more apparent in neighborhoods. If it's only one bench per ward, your impact may be so diffuse that nobody will really feel the impact. And when you're talking about using aldermen or other people as kind of community organizers in effect, if there's only one bench in the ward, you may have a hard time getting them to sign on, whereas if they're looking at, say, 3 or 4 benches in their ward, they may really be able to see the potential impact.
No, I would totally agree. It's a very inspiring idea, and I think I've really come to appreciate it more as well. And moved a couple of years ago from a place in Wicker Park to Bucktown, and one of my most important drivers was like, I really want to get to know the neighbors, and I really want to make an effort to do that. And it really makes such a difference. And it started as just like, who are these people, and who are their kids, and are they the same age as my kids? But then it moved on to like, what's happening with the 606, and have you heard anything else? And so I think it's extremely powerful. There's a few questions I would have that just to consider as you continue to build this out. One is, in my neighborhood at least, I run into my neighbors more pulling out of our garages than walking out of the front door. I think just by virtue of just the lives we lead and driving kids to different things and whatever. And I wonder about this concept of like, there could be real benches that you put in neighborhoods and maybe create these centers. But then can you take it into like a virtual bench somehow that sort of combines the concept of the bench and the things you're describing with social networking or ways to, say, connect online as well. So I think both are powerful and in some ways both necessary.
Well, I'm sorry.
No, please.
Oh, okay, then you can go next. I apologize. I love it when you make a big town feel like a small town, and the idea of gathering places is great. A suggestion I would have is that Black clubs exist all over the city, and many of the Black parties were born out of Black clubs or vice versa. Get the list of those from your aldermen and get them to adopt a bench, because it'll spread much faster. Plus, I think you need a caretaker a physical caretaker of that bench or a set of caretakers, because otherwise it could become a problem area as opposed to a good thing. The reason I love the bench, though, because there are other things like community gardens, is that it's an advertisement for the people who don't get involved that may ask questions, and it'd be a way to pull them in. The people who are active are active. It's pulling in the people who may be more isolated and maybe trying to shovel snow with a ladle, which is probably very hard. So I love the idea. I love the idea.
So good. Similarly, I think analytics and the data surrounding the success of the benches will be really important to drive future adoption, right? And so having distribution channels, one being the aldermans or the neighborhood organizations that are already within those that have the connection points, they will allow you to grow significantly faster than if you were to just start these up out of nowhere. One of the things that I thought while considering distribution, what about realtors, right? Could there be an opportunity to partner with a realtor so that new residents that come into the neighborhood have the opportunity to connect with the neighbors, right? That's just one possible suggestion. But I think the data is going to be really, really important in terms of allowing other aldermen or other cities to see this is why that's going to be a reason to have this adopted in your neighborhood.
I love the idea as well, and I give you probably a little bit of contrary idea, which is I think you need to make the bench more expensive. What I mean specifically is the bench is really the one that's going to enable it, and I would encourage you to find ways to think through and perhaps even prototype before you launch the 50, which I like, about what are the affordances and the cues that are needed to really have people sit and have those conversations and meet. And it can range from perhaps there needs to be a bulletin board attached to it, perhaps there needs to be something that makes this bench customizable, so I can make it my bench a little bit to your idea and the adopt idea. So actually a few people can adopt the bench, like the adopt the hydrant in Boston. So more allow it to be customized. So perhaps the $50 sounds good because you can scale, but I would focus on the affordances of the bench. The second one is coming from retail business before, location. I love the idea of launching it at the block party. I'm not sure that perhaps after the block party, you might want to move it to a location which has most traffic, and find a way through data actually to figure out where are those intersections where people walk, to your point, gather the main street or whatever, or the hardware store. Is it the grocery store, parking, wherever it's most acute. So think about the locations.
Yep.
It's a great idea. I think you're right on the price point because they have to be something like beautiful. You know, street furniture is controversial unless it's beautiful. So you have to make it something significant. Another idea to consider is I'm sure many people have participated in where your team builds, like a team build a bike, and then the bike is given to a community, to a person who needs that transportation. Maybe you could get block clubs or neighborhood organizations to do it as a team building effort, or companies, but their names don't need to be on them just because they're team building, and then it's given to a block that's willing to adopt it and keep it healthy. And
tying on to that, I also think you could do something where, so you talked about block clubs or block parties and sort of using that as to bring in the bench and build off of that, but I can also see it working the other way, where if a block doesn't have a block club or a block party, spark it with building a bench as like a first project, because that could be a cool way to, if I would like to get to know my neighbors, but I kind of don't know where to start. Maybe like, I'm hosting a bench party, and
that's great.
I think it's true. Most want to know their neighbors, but the question is, do you knock on the door and say, hey, I'm your neighbor that's lived here for like 3 years and we don't know them, right?
Yeah.
This could be an
It's
icebreaker.
awkward after a while.
Absolutely.
I would, while we're kind of spending more of your money, I
Now
would
you're down to one bench.
suggest you reconsider your budget for the website, even if you get pro bono website design, et cetera. I think your hosting estimate is maybe within reason, but your startup costs, even if you have pro bono support, are likely to be higher. And your website is a really important tool for you. Word of mouth will get you a neighborhood here and there, but a really strong website with some cool features will spread the word. And so I would not scrimp on that. I think you can find a good partner who can do a lot for you, but it's going to cost you something, and I think $5,000 you won't get very much website design for that.
But do your best to scrimp,
Yeah.
bootstrap as much as you
Yeah.
can. There are
But do this.
a ton of template websites out there that are most are free, so just look around.
And I assume you looked at all the other cities that have done placemaking. There is South Africa started a program. I don't know if you looked at that, and that's moving to other cities. I'll send you the link. But they actually started, then they stopped playing around with different forms, but they started with the bench as well. So that's
Someone in San Francisco who's
okay.
That's awesome.
A really good idea.
I love it.
Great. Thanks, guys. Hey, Sarah, based on our experience, Sarah and I worked on Gallery 37, which is commonly known as After School Matters now in the early days. I predict that young people are going to be painting those benches, or artists are going to be coming and painting those benches and making them
That's
part
right.
of their community. Sarah and I had many conversations about benches in all of
Yes.
its many forms.